Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Okay, Hebrews, this not going to be a long video. It's just, man, it's amazing, that we Hebrews are waking up, which is a good, beautiful start. Which is a beautiful start, because it's starting to be Hebrews everywhere. And people starting to know that they Hebrews and so-called Negroes, the colors, the African Americans are starting to gravitate towards an Israelite identity. This is something that's out of the control of the people who we been in captivity, the people that's been in captivity over us. Our oppressor, that's we know who the oppressor is. Well, this is out of their control. You know what I'm saying? They can't stop this. This is prophecy, and they could try to forestall it, and they doing everything in their might to do that. And they doing that with the churl Hebrews, what I call them, the ones that the rappers that be singing all that mischief and destruction, misleading the youth, making them think that they can get ahead by being evil and wicked and so forth. And Prophet Isaiah spoke about that also. If you go to Isaiah 32, for the veiled person will speak valiantly, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Elohim, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He devised wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh truth. You know what I'm saying? That ain't nothing but the whole rap community and all those individuals that's trying to make the youth think that they can get ahead by being evil and wicked, are trying to express and convey over to the rest of the world that we are evil and wicked like that. You see what I'm saying? So, that's what a churl person is, a veiled, wicked, evil person, and the Creator cover all aspects of our captivity. But this is what I want to focus on and say something about Hebrews, is that we got 50 different doctrines. I'm talking about, man, it's 50 different doctrines on the Israelite history. And we ain't gonna never have no unity. We ain't gonna never have no unity long as we got 50 different doctrines on what happened to us, or how we are the Israelites, speaking about the people from the transatlantic slave trade and their descendants. We got 50 different doctrines. You got Hebrews running around, we the Moors. We the Moors, and we sailed all over and we conquered the whole world. And then you got the Hebrews saying, we the Egyptians, and we built pyramids all over the world and all of those stuff, and we rule because we the Egyptians. They don't know nothing. It's like I said in one of the videos, how the people in Egypt, those Arabs, know that those are black images on the wall, and they'll say those are not black folks, and everybody in the world know that those are pigmented people, and those are Africans, the Hamite descendants, Ham's descendants, and then they'll try to say that them ain't black folks, which would encourage the transatlantic slave trade descendants to say that we are the Egyptians, because the Arabs and the white folks saying that the Egyptians ain't black, and we see plain as day on the walls in Egypt that they black folks, so they've been running that con game for a long time to keep us into that. And you got a lot of Hebrews that promote that mess, promote that Egyptologist mess. And I got videos showing how, the Egyptian culture destroyed us Hebrews, But like I said, man, we got 50 different doctrines. We got 50 different doctrines, and we don't have no unity. We ain't got no spokesperson for the whole Israelite community, and this something with the Israelite Brotherhood trying to be the spokesperson. You know what I'm saying? I know some of you Hebrews that's in them other organizations got your own philosophies and your own doctrines, and that's what I'm talking about. If you look at these videos that I got, that you'll see that, you know, your doctrines is off, you know, because it's only one truth, you know, and it's only one truth, and the rest of the truth that spring from that one truth, you can see it in history. You know, us Hebrews ran into Africa during the Babylonian Wars. We broke covenant then. It's only one history. That's the only truth. That's the only truth, you know, is that we Hebrews broke covenant and ran into Africa during the Babylonian Wars. That's the only truth. That's the only thing that happened to us. That's the only truth that lead to us right now today in captivity with a blotted out heritage. You know, that's the only truth, is that we broke the covenant in the book of Jeremiah during the Babylonian Wars. You know, that's the only truth. And if you don't have that as your truth, then you off. Then you part of the 50 different doctrines. You know, it's 50 different doctrines that the Israelites have. You know, probably more than that. You know, each Hebrew that you come and speak to or talk to, he either gonna come off, he gonna say, well, we the Israelites because the 10 lost tribes, you know, the Syrians took us and we went through a magic waterfall and we ended up in America with nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. And then you got Hebrews that say, oh, we, you know, and will look you in the eye and say, we went into Africa in 70 AD and we went to Spain and we ruled. We ruled from Spain and we was the kings and queens of Europe. You know, you got Hebrews, got all kind of crazy doctors. You know, they don't know no history. You know, they picked them Jewish myths up. They pick them Jewish myths up and then they run with them myths and then they put they spin on them myths and then they make it real crazy and it be sounding crazy, you know. And then some Hebrews will say, well, we the Hebrews because Solomon sailed to the Mississippi River. You know, you got some Hebrews that swear up and down that Jerusalem is over here in South America. I'm talking about actually believe this. They got them Cepheus books, cipher books. You know, they don't know that all the books outside the Tanakh. Now the Jews real slick. The people we abandon our heritage to is real slick. You know, they'll put the truth before you, right before your eyes, and then they'll have some other little stuff on the side, some lies on the side, and the lies sound fantastic and unbelievable, and see which one you're gonna go to. And the people always go for the lies. You know, that's gonna be the books outside the Tanakh. You know, they had councils, you know, the Council of Jermain, in after they destroyed her Edomite temple in 70 AD. They had a council in 90 AD. Ben Zaki, Zakin or something, whatever that Edomite rabbi name was, you know, they had a council, man, and they decided on what would be the books and what wouldn't be the books. But before then, you know, the Septuagint and all that stuff was around during Greek times. You know, the Ptolemies went and got books from them Edomites that controlled the land in the temple and got books from them and took them to Egypt, the Ptolemies, and then translated them. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it was the skeptic in around. But the thing is, you know, they know that we are responsible for Tanakh history. You know, that's a documented fact that we had schools. It's called the JEP schools, the JEPD schools. You know, the Jehovistic, the Elohim, and the priestly documents and the Deuteronomy documents. You know, we had some schools, you know, and if you read Tanakh history and kind of got a little understanding of what our ancestors went to during our last days. And on the promised land, it's this king named King Josiah. He was going to be the last king that we had that tried to clean us up. The Egyptians would kill him. But on the promised land, we had colleges, and we had a sister in the college, named Hilda. And Hilda told us, that it was over with and that it was curtains for us and that we was going to be driven off the land and the curses was going to get us, which eventually happened when the Babylonians pulled up. This is during the history of book of Jeremiah and Second Chronicles 30, and but we had schools and we chronicalized our history, and our history was chronicalized thoroughly because we was dealing with the creator, and it ain't nothing since the creator created writing and all that and so forth, and it wouldn't have been nothing for the creator to record our history in detail. So it's like the Tanakh history, it is our history, and it's the only history that describe what happened to the Hebrews that would lead you to us understand that we are Israelites in this captivity. Because what happened during the Babylonian wars and how the Israelites ran into Africa, that lead to us right now today in captivity. And this can be proven and this can be shown with history. You know what I'm saying? And this is the only history. And we don't need those 50 different doctrines. We don't need the 30 different doctrines to show that we are Israelites no more. Israelite history is easy now. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Israelite history is easy now. Us Hebrews, we've been through a whole lot, and we've been tricked from day one. From the time we left Egypt, we was a stool pigeon. You know what I'm saying? We was we didn't have no eyes to see or ears to hear. And throughout our whole existence, it's man, we've been some foolish people. And I guess that foolishness, we done did a whole lot, and the curses that we in, we brung them on ourselves, sure enough. But it's time to wake up now, and it's time to get strong, and it's time to shake the yoke off, the invisible yoke that's been holding us. You know what I'm saying? And we can only do that is if we come into our heritage on who we are based upon Tanakh history. And the book of Jeremiah proved that, the Hebrews broke the covenant and ran into Africa, and the exiles from Babylon. You get the prophet Ezra, Nehemiah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Those 5 prophets cover the exile. They prove that the Hebrews that ran into Africa never came back out to be reunited with them. We are them. The people that's, taken from Africa during the transatlantic slave trade. You know what I'm saying? We are them. And our ancestors broke the covenant, for Egyptian religion. I got in plenty of videos how we broke the covenant for the Egyptian religion and how Egypt, tricked us from day one when probably when Prophet Abraham came to Egypt, and then the Pharaoh done snatched, you know what I'm saying, our mother Sarah done snatched her up, and then the Creator deal with him. That's gonna make the Egyptians aware right then. You know what I'm saying? The Egyptians gonna be aware right then, and then Joseph end up in their hands, and then he answered the Pharaoh's dreams, and saved Egypt. Them Egyptians gonna be real slick, and they gonna be thinking about their survival, and they ain't gonna want to worship Almighty Yah. They gonna be rooted in their evil and wickedness. You see what I'm saying? So those Egyptians gave Joseph Asenath. And Asenath, had Manasseh and Ephraim. And Ephraim, I could show that they descendants stayed, connected with Egypt. And one of the greatest evils that come out of Egypt is gonna be the religion that Jeroboam brung out when he was chased into Egypt. When he was chased into Egypt, and then upon Solomon's death, when Jeroboam come out, he come out with the two golden calves. And the two golden calves is what the cross represent with Christianity, whether it's Catholic, Baptist, Protestant, Baptist. The cross represent all that. Well, the golden calf was like the Ptah, Ra, and Set, and Is Horus, all those religions, combined, after the golden calf, and then how Jeroboam will put that on us, and it will stay on us, but we was messed up with it, way before then, because when we left Egypt with Prophet Moses, you know what I'm saying, and then them Egyptians left with us, and they were always was a thorn in our side, them Egyptians stayed hanging around us. You didn't hear too much from the Egyptians when we was doing the covenant, but if we ain't doing the covenant like we supposed to, then the Egyptians, we on their religion, or they trying to come across the promised land. And then, that would doom us, because like I said, up on Solomon's death, we went to the Egyptian religion when Jeroboam brung it out of Egypt. And then we'll go to the Egyptian religion, and then we'll stay on it for 300 years, until King Josiah cleaned it up when he was born. He was a prophecy king, and then we would clean the Egyptian, he would clean the Egyptian religion up, and we'll stay clean up Egyptian religion for 31 years. And then the Egyptians would kill him, and then put us back on Egyptian religion, and we'll stay on Egyptian religion for about 15 years, and then the Babylonians will pull up, and then they'll chase us into Africa. And we sojourned in Africa till the transatlantic slave trade started. I got videos explaining, the little conflicts we had and how we was in the Sahara. We was in the Sahara, and they called us the Grammentians. That's our first derogatory name. And then how the Creator made the water dry up underground, and then how they caused us to disperse and have conflict with the Chad and the Angola and the Congo groups, the Congo, Chad, and the Angola groups. We had conflict with them. All them would unite, and then we would have conflict with them, and they would sell us to the slave traders who took us to the west coast of Africa, and then off to the Americas. And then we know our history here. You know what I'm saying? Some of the Hebrews think that we've been free, and that we've been in the Americas forever, and that we've been free here in the Americas, and this is what I want to straighten out on that. Like I say, we got about 50 different doctrines. Some of the Hebrews think that we was in the Americas before the transatlantic slave trade, and this is what I want to tell you, Hebrews, is that it was pigmented peoples all over the face of the earth. I'm talking about pigmented people everywhere, all over the face of the earth. Man, you had pigmented peoples in South America. You had pigmented peoples in North America before the Europeans come over. Man, you had pigmented peoples all in China and everywhere. Pigmented peoples all over. And so, it wouldn't be nothing to have pigmented peoples, in Americas before the Europeans came, because pigmented peoples was everywhere, and how that the non-pigmented peoples was mostly confined to the colder regions, the cold parts of Europe and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And how they didn't get out and start roaming around until the Hebrews started sinning, breaking covenant. When we come out of Egypt, and if you look at world history, You know, the world was kind of like chilling. All the evil nations was getting along with each other. And then we come out and you know, was finna put their lights out. And that started a whole lot of nations to move around then. And then we start seeing it. And then it caused nations everywhere to start moving about. And you know, that's what started the wars on this earth. Is us Hebrews breaking the covenant, you know, not following, you know, the Creator's law, you know, because before then all the evil, wicked folks was kind of like getting along and stuff. They was kind of cool with each other, you know, man, unless they was like uh, uh the the gay community and stuff, you know, the Sodom and Gomorrah community, where those people from Mesopotamia came and robbed them, and then how our father Abraham had to rescue his nephew Lot and them from them Mesopotamian folks, and it kind of like helped them Amorites, which legitimized Prophet Abraham's stay in Canaan, where he wouldn't have to fight all them devils and so forth. And then, you know, our father Abraham had Isaac and then Jacob. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we know our father Jacob, brother Esau, Edom went and mated with those Hittites and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Mated with them Hittites. And you know, that would make Edom have no pigmentation. I got videos covering all this. But you know, I was just, you know, talking to some Hebrews, and you know, I kind of like put them on the right path and so forth. And you know, I make these videos so we can get on the right path, and so we can have one central history, because it's only one thing that happened to us, and that's that we broke the covenant in the book of Jeremiah. We abandoned the covenant and say we didn't want no more to do with the law that Moses gave us, and we was through with it, and how we was going into Africa. You know, Egypt is part of the Sahara, and how we was going into the Sahara to do Egyptian religion, African religions. Okay, we never returned back to the promised land. You know, we never returned back to the promised land. You know, and how we were enslaved from Africa and taken to, you know, the Americas, you know, and then we are in the four corners of the earth is because the Hebrews that are in the military are stationed everywhere, all over the four corners of the earth. We still in captivity, and those Hebrews that don't know their heritage are even more in captivity because they don't know no truth, or they don't know no history. But I tell you what, if this system was to collapse anytime soon, and Creator Yah was to give us some freedom, I bet you them Hebrews just all stationed everywhere gonna think about Jerusalem when they find out that that's where Hebrew Israelites going. I bet you that's where they gonna want to go to, and everybody else gonna want to go to, and they gonna start heading that way. But like I say, Hebrews, we got 50 different doctrines. We got 50 different doctrines. We got Hebrews saying that we the Moors, that we the Egyptians, and how we all these different cultures and empires. And that's false, because when we broke the covenant, we didn't, you know, go nowhere to rule and to take over. You know, we had problems in the Sahara. You know, the folks stayed bothering us. You know what I'm saying? And we had problems in the Sahara. And where we went, it was kind of like fertile territory. We was kind of like the first ones to sojourn there, because the other Africans was in the lush parts of Africa and stuff, and how we had to be in the hard part. But when the hard part dried up and became intolerable, that caused us to move around. You know, like I say, the first derogatory name that our enemy gave us is called Grammentians, you know. And then if you follow the Grammentian history, you will see that it broke up. You know, the whole little empire broke up. You know, we was robbing and doing and had the same characteristics that we had in the promised land, housing agriculture, and especially digging for stones, like how in the Tanakh it showed you that we had them 12 stones. Well, the so-called Gramentians, that's the name that the Greeks called them. Was probably girl was probably one of the leaders' name. It was a few kings. It just wasn't one king, one Israelite king. You know what I'm saying? It was a bunch of kings in the Sahara. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of fulfilling one of them curses where the Creator said that He'll take you and the kings that's over you unto land, a strange land in the bondage. They had a few kings, in the Sahara, and we would have conflict, but we would be united, and we would, help and aid each other, and we would, have a little prosperity for a little while till the water dried up, which was an act of the Creator, and then that will push us, to going south, and then we will have conflict with them Bentus, and then the Bantus would sell us to the slave traders. If you look at this brother named Jeffrey Martins, and he got this video, man, about how the Jews participated in the slave trade. I guess everybody know, what I'm saying, about the Jews' participation in the slave trade and so forth. That ain't nothing new, we understand that. And this is what we need to be faced with, is how we gonna have some unity and have one doctrine. I'm talking about one doctrine, and then we could present that one doctrine. If we all on the same page, then our enemies gonna be in trouble, because they know that the history that the Israelite Brotherhood is showing is accurate. You know what I'm saying? I challenge anybody on trying to disprove, the history that I show. I know that this history you can't disprove, because it's what happened. Us Hebrews ran into Africa during the Babylonian Wars. I got plenty of videos covering this. I got plenty of videos. You just got to look through them. And how we never returned to the promised land, and how the transatlantic slave trade is the fulfilling of the prophecies that Prophet Moses said would happen to us. The Creator told him, if we broke the covenant, that certain things was going to happen to us. And how, if you look at those curses in chapter 28 of Deuteronomy, they identical to what you call black history. We the only people on the face of the earth that's been through the tragedies and the hardships that, that the curses calls for. And we are the only people been taken from Africa to the transatlantic slave trade. Like I said in other videos, you got Barbers, you got White Tutsis, you got Pygmies, you got Ethiopians, you got a whole Pygmies, you got a whole host of Africans that never made it to the transatlantic slave trade, that they ain't take none of them. And how, that the transatlantic slave trade was just focused on a certain area and a certain group of people. Like I said, we had spread out, and we controlled the Sahara, and them taking us from the Sahara kind of like depopulated the Sahara. And then how that they would like for the world to think that the Africans were against each other and that they just sold their own people. No, it's a little more complex than that. It's a little more complex than that. But like I said, we Hebrews need to be on one history. It's only one thing that happened to us, and that's that we broke the covenant in the book of Jeremiah. We said we didn't want to do the law no more, and how that because the Babylonians was coming to get us, it is the reason, we wasn't doing Egyptian religion was the reason why the Babylonians was coming to get us. And that we would prefer to go back into Africa and live and stay. And that's Our history right there. It's plain and simple as that. And you can follow our history from Genesis all the way to the book of Jeremiah. That's for the 99%. And then I explain what happened to the exiles that was taken to Babylon and how they, upon return, started seeing it. And then that's what caused the Greeks to come in and put their lights out. And then how we in the transatlantic slave trade are the only Hebrew Israelites. This is simple history now. And that's like you Hebrews that believe in the New Testament. I got plenty of videos showing that how Ashkenazi were called Scythians and how they settled in the Discopolis, and how Jesus would spend his whole time dealing with them. And I showed that how it was a bunch of Jesus. I got videos showing just about all the Jesus. It was a bunch of them. And then I show how he prayed in her Edomite temple that wasn't refurbished but built from the ground up, and how he prayed in there, and then how he would go kick it with them Scythians and try to recruit them and start a new religion, saying that his blood is the remission of sins, and how he was only dealing with Scythians. If you look and see who was in the Discopolis and who was in Scythopolis and who was in Galilee during Roman times, you will see that it wasn't no black folks, no pigmented people. And how did you know that it wasn't no pigmented people in the Promised Land during the time of the Romans? Is before then, it's this dude named Tigranes the Great. In 95 to 55 BC, took 30,000 Judeans, people from where the tribe of Judah stayed at. He took 30,000 people from there. He just grabbed and said, come on, him and his army, marched them to Armenia. From the Promised Land to Armenia. He force marched them from the Promised Land to Armenia. You know what I'm saying? He took them from the Promised Land up to Armenia up there. And then 30,000 of them. And then how about what? None of them black. Not one of them. And then how there's no so-called black culture in Armenia that stems from the Roman era. When Tigranes took those people from the Promised Land, 30,000 peoples that stayed in Judea around Jerusalem, he took 30,000 of them to Armenia, and none of them was black. So where did all the black folks go? What happened to them? How is it possible for Tigranes to take 30,000 people to Armenia from the Promised Land and none of them is black? What happened to the exiles? Where did they go? What happened to them? What will become of their descendants? Surely if the New Testament people are Hebrews, they would have to be descended from the exiles that come back from Babylon. That's the only way. It was millions of people in the Promised Land, and then I have history showing that the exiles only lived in Jerusalem. And then how Tigranes the Great took 30,000 people from Jerusalem, and how none of them wasn't black. So what happened to the exiles? Where did they go? The Greeks got them. The Greeks destroyed them real fast. Where the people in the land destroyed them real fast. And then I got videos showing how the Scythians made up the Greek army too when they destroyed the Persians, who were the exiles' protectors. You see, the Persians protected the exiles. So if the exiles come back home and then they start seeing it and it's recorded, you got the book of Ezra, Nehemiah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Those 5 prophets show the exile history. And we know that those people are us, and those were so-called pigmented people, black folks. the people took into Babylon. When they come home, they can only live in Jerusalem. They can only live in Jerusalem and around those parts. Well, something happened to them because Tigranes the Great took 30,000 of them from the promised land, from Judea, and took them to Armenia, and none of them was black. So what happened to the exiles? And this was before Jesus was born. About 90, almost 100 years before Jesus was born. So if a sample of the population was taken to Armenia and none was black, then the rest of the people in the New Testament ain't gonna be black. For the simple reason that, the exile, something happened to them. Okay, how about I showed that, in the New Testament, that it was told through the third party, and how the Scythians had a weed smoking culture. I got a video how they smoke weed, the whole time, and how the whole New Testament history is pure garbage. That's why come we only got one history, and we can't have all these 50 different doctrines, because the New Testament is garbage. It's garbage history, and it don't represent the real Israelites. It's like I show that the New Testament come about 500 years after the Tanakh closed, with the book of Malachi, 430 BC, and then how around by 90 AD they start popping up with this Jesus Christ stuff, this Son of God stuff. And then, I show that the people who we abandon our heritage to, and also the Scythians believe in the Son of God and the Mother, Son of God, triad gods and stuff. The Scythians believed in that. So, that's what Christianity would come from. And it's like I show in videos how they believed in Jesus way before the Council of Nicaea, and that how in Scythopolis, in the Discopolis cities where Jesus was, that those Scythians believed in him first. And the Scythians are the people that chased us Hebrews into Africa under the name Chaldean. Under the name Chaldean. You know what I'm saying? And they would shoot the promised land up, and you can still find arrowheads right now today. Right now today, I got a lot of little videos, but if you was to get on the internet, that in the Jerusalem Post, they just recently did an article how they steady finding Scythian arrowheads, and Scythian ain't nothing but the code word for Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi and the Scythians, it's the same people. It's just that they try to hide Ashkenazi name in history and how he is associated with the promised land. They don't want everybody to know that it was Ashkenazi that burnt the temple down under the name Scythian with the Chaldeans, and how Ashkenazi, the Scythians, controlled Chaldea, and how I got videos showing that that the whole fight in the past with the Assyrians and so forth come from the Scythians, Ashkenazi. You see what I'm saying? Ashkenazi. If you look up Ashkenazi, he gonna tell you that Scythian is his name. And then I got videos explaining how Ashkenazi was trying to take Assyria over, and then how Assyria would come and get us Hebrews, but us Hebrews was on Egyptian religion, so we really couldn't help them. And how that the whole history, the whole Israelite history is wrong. That would, make 50 different doctrines come about, because the Israelite history that is wrong come from the people that we abandon our heritage to. See, you Hebrews don't know that we abandoned our heritage to some Babylonian scribes. See, the Israelite Brotherhood is something serious. I ain't playing with these folks. I want us to have our heritage. I want us to have our heritage, and we gonna get our heritage with some truth. You see what I'm saying? We're going to have some truth, and we're going to have some truth to show our enemies, and we're not going to rely on our enemies' history to prove anything because you can't. You see what I'm saying? So that's why the Israelite Brotherhood is bringing this about, because you Hebrews are not going to prove anything using the Jewish myths. You know what I'm saying? And the folks know that you'll never see your heritage. They don't want you to see your heritage. They don't care if you're wrong or if your history is off. They don't care. They don't care. They would prefer your history to be off. But the Israelite Brotherhood gonna put us on the right tracks. All right. These are the people that we abandon our heritage to. This is something real serious. You know, the Amorites. The Amorites are some serious people. Some real serious people. That's why all the wickedness that come from today gonna come from the culture that the Amorites created. And if you look in Tanakh history, those are the people that Prophet Moses told us to destroy. Those are the people that the Creator had promised they land if we got rid of their civilization. See, basically, if we would have got rid of their land then with them on it, it would have got rid of the wickedness, and none of the wickedness that's about today that we call culture. See, we call wickedness culture. Robbing, stealing, and killing. You know, I was just watching a rap video where the brothers, the whole thing they was talking about the London or something, taking the brothers, taking another Hebrew's woman and stealing his wife, his kids, and just everything that the Creator said for us not to do. They singing about it in the song, making it seem like it's cool to do, and it's the most righteous thing to do. And then they go right back to what Prophet Isaiah said, chapter 32. For the veiled person will speak valiantly, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Elohim, and promoting that evil wickedness, the killing and the sex and the wicked way about it and all that thing, all that's going against the Creator. For the veiled person will speak valiantly, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Elohim, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. That's like them people, the kids, the youth today are looking at them rappers as if that's salvation. You got all kind of kids growing up. I'm gonna be a rapper. I'm gonna sing and I'm gonna rap, and all the wicked things that they could think of, and try to put it in some lyrics, and hope that the wickedness is accepted by the other wicked people, and then they be successful in their wickedness. You see what I'm saying? That's causing the hypocrisy and the youth to have a drink and can't get full off of it. You know what I'm saying? Let's read this again. For the veiled person will speak valiantly, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy and to utter error against the Elohim, to make empty the souls of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with the lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. Man, our culture, our heritage fell into the hands of those Babylonian scribes. Them folks is something serious. And they controlled the whole music industry from top to bottom. From top to bottom. They got to let some so-called black folks make it, and to make it seem like hey, we making it in the wickedness too, and but they control it. And okay, our heritage fell to the Babylonian scribes. You Hebrews ain't gonna understand this. Some will, some won't, and the ones that do understand it, I'm trying to tell you, it's a blessing. The Babylonian scribes are the Sephardims, the Sephardies. The Sephardi Jews was placed in our land during the Babylonian wars. During the Assyrian wars. We abandoned everything to them during the Babylonian wars. But during the Assyrian troubles, They was placed in our land, real slick and sly. We was on Egyptian religion. They was Babylonian scribes. They're responsible for all Babylon's gods' history. All Babylon's gods' history, they responsible for it. You know, and they archived it, and they responsible for Western civilization as we know it today. They're responsible for the words and everything. They something serious, and they been doing this for thousands of years. That's why they can kick back and reap the cream off the get the best of the fruit off the tree, because they created the whole system. And when you see them living in luxury and the luxuries and got all the wealth, it's because they've been doing this for thousands of years. You see what I'm saying? And they create words, they create civilization, they create culture. They can go and create a new culture. That's like some of the things that we believe in and hold up as culture couldn't get around and be spreaded if it wasn't for the media. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for the media spreading it around and so forth, it wouldn't be all prevalent in our community. You see what I'm saying? Well, them folks is behind the media. You know, we abandoned our heritage to the Babylonian scribes, to the Amorites. When we said we was going back into Africa to worship the Egyptian religion, we abandoned our heritage to the Babylonian scribes, and they were Amorites. So it's like we let the Amorites get total control of their land when we went back into Africa. And not only that, we gave them the rights to record world history, because world history had fell into our hands. We was keeping up with world history. That's what Tanakh history is. When they talk about all those different tribes and what they did and how wicked they was, where they was going, we kept up with the world history. You see what I'm saying? And then when we went into Africa to do the Egyptian religion, we gave them control of that. You see, they had lost it when we took it from them. They had lost it, and they had it under Hammurabi and so forth. But when we took it from them, under the prophet Joshua, then we gave it back to them during the Babylonian wars. But them people was placed in our land during the Assyrian captivity. 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 24. Let's look at that, because that's real important. You know, you Hebrews get an understanding of this. That's why I say, you know, you listen to these videos, we're going to come off them 50 different doctrines, and we only going to have one history. And that one history is going to be this Tanakh history. We only going to have one history. And that one history is going to be this Tanakh history. All right, look, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cuddar and from Abel and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt therein. But you see that word Sepharvaim? Sepharvaim translate into Sephardi. Sephardi is like the general term, you know. Sephardi gonna be the Sepharvaims that mix with the Europeans, that they got a European like heritage, and the Sephardims gonna be the ones that's mixed with the Arabs and the Africans and the pygmy peoples. And the Sephardi, you know, it's like they general name. the name that they you know, call themselves, that they all identify with. And they are Canaanites. You know, they're Canaanites. And it's like that name Jew come from Jebusite. You know, you got some Hebrews thinking that we are Jews and say we are the Jews. No, we are not Jews. We are Hebrew Israelites. And a Jew is a Jebusite, which are Amorites, which are the Jews today. You see what I'm saying? All right, Hebrews, you know, we got these 50 different doctrines. I mean, we got these 50 different doctrines, and we got to come up off these 50 different doctrines. Like I said, you got Hebrews talking about, you know, we the Egyptian Moors, and we the Egyptian Moor Nubians that sailed all around the world. You know, that's why come them devils be laughing at us and be mocking us, because they know that all them histories that we be presenting is lies, because they know where they got us from. They know they got us from the Sahara, and how when we broke the covenant, that's where we were. And that how the devil was all over the face of the earth recording everywhere, and how he know we wasn't in none of them other places. You see what I'm saying? The devil know we wasn't in none of them other places. And the devil know that we wasn't in no Europe ruling nothing. Yeah, you got black faces of some folks that ruled in Europe, and I'm going to tell you where they come from. You Hebrews be hollering about some khazars. You Hebrews don't know that this dude named David, David went down to Ethiopia. You know, the Ethiopians been practicing Judaism since the Yemenite Jews, the Hammerites, went into Ethiopia. You know, that's where the Ethiopian Jews come from, the Jews that come from Yemen, the Edomite Jews, and how the Khazars came down to Ethiopia and got a couple of them women down there, and then took them up to Ukraine. You know, from Ethiopia, the Khazar Empire is right where Armenia at. You know what I'm saying? At the bottom of the Caucasus Mountain. It's kind of like all this is in the area of the old ancient Assyrian Empire. You know, but the Khazars ain't nothing but the Kurds today. The Kurds turned Islam. The Khazars turned Islam is where the Kurds come from. And that's the Jews' relation to them. You know, they all come from Armenia or the Caucasus Mountain. You know, they just been absorbed into the Edomite world. The Kurds and so forth. But they Khazars that converted to Judaism. But the Khazars went to Ethiopia. Went down through Egypt, through Nubia, and kicked it into Sudan and so forth. And then went to Ethiopia and got him a woman, and then took her up to Ukraine, up through the Caucasus. You know, if you look at the Ukraine history, you're going to see that they tied into the Ethiopians and that they had a relation to the Ethiopians. Well, this Khazar kid will be on the throne. This is a king's son. This is a Khazar king's son. And I'm going to start putting all their names together and stuff. I had it on this site that named TopX, TOPIX, that they took off the air. I had like 7 years of recorded history, and I'm talking about some fire history that they couldn't get away. And it took me 7 years to filter out all the lies and the myths and just have truths. And I recorded some of it, but I ain't get all of it. And then they took the whole site off, just vanished. You know what I'm saying? With all the research. And then come to find out, I see the Jews on the Top X. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, they could have then peeped all that history I had, because I was debating with them on Top X all the time. From all Jews from all around the world to get on there and try to debate, and how I would, you know, handle them with the truth, you know, that we broke covenant and ran into Africa, and that led to us, and how they couldn't, you know, dispute that and so forth. Well, anyway, you know, like I said, that this Khazar dude, you know, went down to Ethiopia and got him a woman and took her up to the Europe and had some kids. And then since them Khazars was vicious and rude, and they kids would get, you know, tangled up into the royalties of the Europeans and so forth. So you have a pigmented people on a throne in different parts in Europe and so forth at different times, and they would call them Moors. You know, it's like you got a goldfish. If you look at a Moor goldfish, she gonna be black, and that's what that name meant. But the Moors were more or less them barbers, the barbers in the mix with them Edomite Jews and them Arabs and them barbers and so forth. You got a little Hamite mixture, and how they would go to Spain and have some fun and stuff. And we'll see them pigmented peoples, and because we've been enslaved and we can't explain why we was enslaved and for what reason we was enslaved, and we be feeling bad about our enslavement, that we're running grab the history of them other folks, not knowing the history, and then our enemies sit back and laugh, have a good time, be popping bottles. laughing because they know that you far away from your Israelite history. Anytime that you go get all these other doctrines, they know that you far away from your Israelite history, and our enemies pop bottles. They be popping bottles, having fun. And one of the biggest ones is that, you know, we the Egyptians, we the Egyptian Moors that sailed across South America, and we went to Alaska and we ruled Russia. You know, that's how that mess be sounding. That junk be sounding crazy. And if you listen to them, that's how the Hebrews be sounding. When you say, man, explain to me how we the Israelites, they'll say, man, in 70 AD, the Syrians came and took us all, and we went up in the waterfall, and we ended up in the Americas, and we had ships sailing all over, and we ruled Japan, and we was in Madagascar, and we was in Alaska. You know, that junk be sounding crazy. That junk be sounding crazy, but that's how all the Hebrews' philosophies and histories and doctrines be sounding. If you ain't coming off to Tanakh saying that we broke the covenant in the book of Jeremiah and went into Africa. Like I said, I got videos covering this. If you don't say that we broke the covenant right here, go to Jeremiah chapter 44. If you don't say this happened and that we went into Africa and lived, then your history is off. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwell in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of food, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. That's the state of mind we was in. And that state of mind did never change. And that we went into Africa and stayed there till our enslavement come down. That's plain as simple as that. We don't need the 50 different doctrines. And the 50 different doctrines, we ain't gonna never have no unity. We got to get on this one history and push this one history. The enemy cannot dispute this. He cannot say that those Hebrews that went into Africa got snatched by an alien or spaceship. He can't say that they went down in the desert and the sand swallowed them up. You know, the enemy gonna try to say something, but we gonna know that he telling a lie. And matter of fact, he ain't gonna even come with that old crazy stuff, because he know that, you know, it ain't gonna go in this day and time. All right, Hebrews, you know, I'm just, man, tripping, man. You know, I got debating with a few Hebrews, and you know, you ask them to explain the history, and you know, everybody got 50 different doctrines, and we ain't gonna never have no unity with no 50 different doctrines. You know, we got to have one history, and that one history is the Tanakh history, and it showed that we broke the covenant and went into Africa, and you know, like I say, you know, the exile history showed that the ones that went into Africa to do the Egyptian religion never returned home, and how we are them. They can't change that. It's impossible to change that. And then our history is identical to the curses. You know, if you read that curse that Prophet Moses said, where the Hebrews will be taken to Egypt in ships, with an S on the end of the ships, and how I showed that this is the Egyptian system that our ancestors was taken to, because they got the main Egyptian relics that was symbolized in Egyptian captivity. You know, that obelisk, you know, that's that so-called Cleopatra needle. You know, this obelisk was erected during our enslavement in Egypt. Prophet Moses would have possibly touched this. The Hebrews would have touched this and seen this, because they had us doing the labor and we was enslaved in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And then that's the image of Necho. Necho gonna be the king that killed King Josiah when we got off the Egyptian religion, and how this Pharaoh would kill King Josiah and put us back on the Egyptian religion, and how we would go into Egypt and well into Africa and be enslaved from there. You know, it's like I got videos showing in Google Maps. You know, it's like I've been looking at paper maps, and you really can't feel how close the promised land is to Egypt until you look at the Google map and see it by satellite in real time, and you will see that the promised land is in running distance to Egypt. I was startled by it. I had to make 2 videos. Man, I had to make 2 videos. All right, shalom, Hebrews. You know, like I said, we can't have these 50 different doctrines. It's time to wrap it up. You know, we could put it to our enemies now. All we got to do is say we the Hebrews that ran into Africa in the book of Jeremiah that say that they was going to do the African Egyptian religion, and that never returned home when the Babylonians were defeated by the Persians. You know, it's like the Persians opened the door up. They came to Egypt. You know, us that ran into Egypt, into Africa, saying that we wanted to stay there, had the opportunity to come back home. And how that would have changed everything. It wouldn't have been no people to enslave from Africa. If we Hebrews would have came out of Africa and went back to the promised land, it wouldn't have been nobody to enslave. The transatlantic slave trade wouldn't have never happened. You see what I'm saying? So, and we got to come off these 50 different doctrines, and we got to have one doctrine, one history. You know, we got to have one history, and that's the Tanakh history. And that we ran into Africa during the Babylonian Wars, and how we never returned, and how we was eventually enslaved from Africa, and how, you know, that lead to us right now today. So, you know, all these other different doctrines and stuff, man, we can throw it out, because it ain't gonna do no good, and it ain't gonna bring our enemies to their knees. You know, this history will, if enough of us start saying that we went into Africa during the Babylonian Wars, and how we are the Israelites, and we stand behind that, they gonna bow down. Their head gonna hit the ground, because they gonna know that the game is over with. And then the Creator might come on out. You know, the Creator said he was going to hide his face while enemies devour us. And that's what's been happening the whole time. Our enemies ain't had the power to wipe us all the way off the face of the earth, but they've been having the power to devour us and to keep us in misery and so forth. All right, shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. We can't have these 50 different doctrines. We ain't gonna never have no unity with the 50 different doctrines. You can't have no unity, and everybody can't be right. You know, the only what's right is the Tanakh history, and that's where I bring my history from, and that's what make me right. You see, that's why I have history that the enemy can't defeat, step on. He can't switch around. He can't do nothing. The Israelite Brotherhood in total control of it. You see what I'm saying? And they can't control this, because they can't come say what we did in Africa and who we were in Africa. You see what I'm saying? They can't do that. All right, shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood.